Okay, picture this. Deep shadows. A figure just melts into the night. And then that snap sound, right? A silent flash, some razor-sharp star spinning through the air. That image, the ninja and the shuriken, the throwing star, we all kind of know it.
Yeah, it's iconic.
But today, for everyone listening, we're going way, way deeper than that pop culture idea.
Definitely. Forget the movie stuff for a bit. We're really diving into Ninja Shuriken Throwing the Weapon of Stealth by Sid Campbell.
Sid Campbell, okay.
And this isn't just about cool-looking weapons. It's about understanding the history, the sheer variety, actually, and the skill, the immense skill that went into using this thing.
So like a backstage pass.
Exactly. Backstage pass to the real world of ninja throwing stars.
Nice. And Campbell's work, it really does pull back the curtain, doesn't it? So our mission for this deep dive.
Well, we're going to trace the history, right? Ninjutsu's roots, explore the different shuriken types, and there are more than you might think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look at how they were held, the grips, how they were thrown for accuracy.
And how much damage they could actually do.
Exactly. Penetration, targeting, and how they fit into the bigger picture, the ninja's whole combat strategy.
Right. So get ready, folks. Perceptions might get sharpened today.
Okay, let's do it, starting right at the beginning. The history of ninjutsu itself.
Which wasn't exactly an overnight thing, I gather.
Not at all. The source, Campbell, suggests the roots go back, well, over 2,000 years.
2000, wow.
Yeah, he even points to Sun Tzu's Art of War, way back 500, 300 BC, as an early example of that kind of strategic thinking.
Spying, knowing your enemy.
Exactly. That mindset became super central to the ninja.
That's a fascinating link. So this whole idea of stealth, gathering intel, it's ancient.
Pretty much. Yeah. And the source suggests that in Japan, ninjutsu started really coming together maybe around the 6th century AD. Prince Shotoku is mentioned.
Okay, 6th century. What was happening then? Why would these skills develop?
Well, what's interesting is it seems tied to secret activities, obviously, but also, kind of surprisingly, disputes over land.
Land disputes, like property lines.
Yeah. Imagine trying to settle that, maybe with a bit of unseen influence, shall we say.
Huh, sneaky.
Operating outside the usual channels, That environment would make these skills incredibly valuable.
Flying under the radar. Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember reading about the Yamabushi, these mountain guys.
Ah, yes, the Yamabushi, mountain warriors, ascetics. Campbell says they were key in preserving and evolving certain fighting techniques.
In the mountains, away from everything.
Right, and knowledge of the natural world, too. Over time, their skills probably mixed with and enriched what became ninjutsu, a sort of reservoir of knowledge outside the mainstream.
So ninjutsu wasn't just about fighting then? Because the source really hammers home that the art of stealth was much bigger than just combat.
Oh, absolutely. Connecting the dots, ninjutsu was like a whole suite of covert ops skills.
Like industrial espionage back then.
Kind of. Spying, sabotage, anything to get an edge without open war. Weapons were part of it, sure.
But not the whole story.
Not at all. Camouflage, disguise, moving silently, even scaling walls and just enduring really tough conditions. It was about being a complete clandestine operator, adapting.
And Campbell mentions the Iga and Koga clans specifically. Why were they so important?
Right, Iga and Koga. They really became the epicenters, the hubs for ninjutsu in Japan.
Famous for it.
Almost legendary. Their names are basically synonymous with the whole ninja tradition, top-tier expertise in these shadowy arts.
Okay. So the shuriken is one tool, but what else was in the ninja's toolkit? We think sword, obviously.
Yeah, the sword, the katana, definitely. But the arsenal was surprisingly wide. Bow and arrow, spears of different kinds, the broad-bladed staff.
Versatile.
Very. And even special ways to draw the sword super fast.
Yeah,
chains, size.
Like farming tools.
Adapted, yeah. But then you get the really interesting stuff. Caltrops, those spiky things to stop pursuers.
Ouch.
Grappling hooks,
Yeah.
folk bombs for disappearing.
The classic smoke bomb.
Totally. Fire-blinding powders and, poisons.
Right, a pretty nasty collection. But you said, and the source says, it wasn't just the gear.
Crucially, no. The skills beyond the weapons were maybe even more important.
Like what?
Camouflage, disguise. Essential for getting in places, gathering info, blending in.
Making invisible.
Exactly. Silently climbing walls, moving through tough terrain without a sound, and just sheer physical endurance. That's what really set them apart. Masters of using their environment.
Okay, let's talk about the ninja themselves, the people.
Yeah.
What about their look? The whole mystery aspect.
Well, the source describes the traditional outfit as often black, naturally, for hiding at night.
Black pajamas look.
Kind of, yeah. But it also notes they'd use colors that blended with wherever they were operating. Practicality first. The goal was always invisibility.
And the mystique.
Oh, it's definitely part of it, historically. Campbell draws this interesting comparison. Like, modern military specialists, they often focus on one specific thing.
Right. A sniper, a demolitions expert.
Exactly. But the ninja, they were seen as masters of pretty much every kind of warfare relevant to their job. Sort of shadowy Renaissance men, if you will.
That's quite an image.
Well,
And this mastery wasn't just luck, right? The training started incredibly early.
unbelievably early. Around age 5, according to Campbell's research.
5 years old?
Yeah. And the training was intense. Covered military skills, obviously, but also traditional arts you might not expect.
Like what?
Things like painting, a tea ceremony, flower arranging.
Wait, flower arranging, how does that help a ninja?
That's the fascinating part. It wasn't just for relaxation. Think about it. Painting or calligraphy
Yeah.
could be used for forging documents, leaving coded messages.
I see. Clever.
Tea ceremony, flower arranging, great opportunities to observe people up close in a relaxed setting, gather intelligence. Music, storytelling ways to blend in, pick up gossip, maybe even spread disinformation.
So it was holistic training, creating someone who could fit in anywhere, observe, manipulate.
Precisely. And the source mentions the family structure, too, in ninja groups. These skills were often passed down, generation after generation.
Okay, got to picture the ninja now.
Yeah.
Let's zero in on the main event, the Shuriken. What exactly is it, based on Campbell's work?
Okay, the Shuriken. At its heart, it's defined as a handheld missile weapon, usually a sharpened piece of metal made for throwing.
Simple enough.
But Campbell breaks it down into 2 main types. Bow shuriken, those are the straight, spiky ones.
Like darts almost?
Kinda, yeah. And then hira shuriken, those are the flat, multi-pointed ones, stars, other shapes, the ones everyone pictures.
Got it. And we're focusing mostly on those hira shuriken today.
Primarily, yeah. That's the main focus of this part of the source material.
So what were they for? Were they meant to be like a one-shot kill weapon?
Generally, no. Campbell makes it clear their main job was usually to wound or distract an opponent.
Create an opening.
Exactly. Disrupt their attack, break their concentration. Now, could a perfect throw be lethal? Sure, absolutely.
Aimed right.
Right. But often it was about that disruption. And the psychological impact, too. Imagine the shock, something sharp whizzing past your head.
Yeah, that would definitely throw you off your game.
And Campbell points out they were quiet in flight, which, adds to the whole stealth factor.
Silent destruction.
Yeah.
Makes tactical sense.
Yeah.
Okay, what were they made of, historically?
The materials varied depending on the time and what was available. Campbell lists bronze, brass, iron, steel. Those were common.
Metals, mostly.
Mostly. But he also suggests, interestingly, that way back, they might have used wood or even sharpened coins if they had to. Pure practicality.
Resourceful.
Definitely. Over time, steel, tempered metals became the go-to. Better hardness, holds an edge, penetrates better.
And the ones you see today, in shops or online,
Yeah.
how do they stack up?
Yeah. Campbell draws a really clear line there. A lot of modern ones are mass-produced, right? Die-stamped, often lighter metal.
Cheaper to make, I guess.
Probably. And experts, according to the source, kind of see those as, well, novelties. Toys, almost.
But the real deal.
Not really. A genuine shuriken, as described here, needed enough weight, super sharp points, durable blades, designed to actually work. There's a big gap between a movie prop and a functional weapon.
Good distinction. Not all throwing stars are equal. Campbell even breaks down the parts of a typical star-shaped one. What are the key bits?
Yeah, the anatomy is quite thought out. You've got the point, obviously. Needs to be needle sharp to stick.
Makes sense.
Then the blade, the outer edge, does the cutting if it hits that way. The pintle hole is interesting.
The hole in the middle.
Usually, yeah. It helps with balance in flight, and apparently it could also help with certain rapid-fire techniques, maybe stringing them, or special holders.
Okay.
Then the main body. Gives it weight, something to grip. And sometimes the part opposite a point, might even be sharpened. Another striking surface for close-in work.
So every part had a potential purpose.
Seems like it. Very functional design.
Okay, you've got this carefully made weapon. How do you actually hold it to throw it well? The source goes into a lot of grips. It's more complex than I thought.
Oh, absolutely. This is where the real depth shows. Campbell stresses there's no single right way.
Depends on the situation.
Exactly. Different grips give you different advantages or disadvantages, affects accuracy, speed, power. It really shows how adaptable the ninja had to be.
Okay, run us through some of the main ones. What are the basic ways they might hold it?
All right, let's start with the three-prong grip. Thumb, index, middle finger. Campbell notes this often gives it an end-over-end rotation.
Tumbling through the air.
Yeah, which might increase the odds of a point hitting home. Then there's the horizontal spin grip. You hold it flat against the side of your hand.
So it spins like a frisbee, kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. Horizontal spin. Often better for shorter distances, maybe when you want speed and a flat path.
Okay, visually that makes sense. What else?
Then you have the overhand spin grip, probably what most people picture. Standard overhand throw, like a baseball, generally gives more power, good for longer distances. The underhand spin grip is similar, but released lower down. Uses different muscles, maybe more body torque to generate speed.
Okay.
And the sleeve grip. This one's pure stealth. A quick grab for a shuriken hidden up your sleeve. Super fast deployment at close range. Surprises everything.
Wow. The slave grip. Classic ninja stuff right there. Any others that show different principles?
Yeah, quite a few more. The four-prong grip is like the three-prong, but adds the ring finger. More stability, maybe. Campbell suggests it might cause more tearing on impact.
Ouch.
The two-finger tweezer grip, holding it delicately between index and middle finger. Lots of control, often used when putting it back in its sheath carefully.
Oh, okay.
The two-finger fan grip, similar idea, but faster, maybe less fine control. A quick flick, good for close range.
Man, so many variations for just holding it. Are there even more specialized ones?
You bet. The trigger grip, wrapping thumb, index, middle finger, more around the blades. Allows for a really powerful throw, especially with star shapes.
Ripping it harder.
Seems like it. The palm grip is mainly for those straight, spiky bow shuriken. Held parallel to your fingers, thumb tucked in. Surprisingly versatile for different ranges with practice.
Right.
And then these wrist flick ones. 3-finger wrist flip fan grip and 2-finger wrist flip fan grip, both for close in, rapid fire.
Oh.
Power comes mainly from a sharp wrist flick.
Faster, less body movement.
Exactly. The 2-finger one is even faster, maybe sacrificing a tiny bit of power. It just shows the incredible detail in understanding body mechanics for different situations.
Yeah, definitely way beyond just chucking it. Okay, you've picked your grip. How do you get it from wherever it's hidden into your hand ready to throw? The draw sounds important too.
Critical. Absolutely critical for speed and effectiveness. Campbell points out it's a whole synchronized thing.
What's involved?
Where the shuriken is placed on your body needs to be easy to reach. How fast and smooth you can get your grip on it. Your body stance, ready for the throw, and, if needed, keeping it concealed during the draw.
No fumbling.
Definitely no fumbling, especially under pressure. The idea is a smooth, quick motion from concealment to throwing position. A bad draw ruins the whole point.
So a smooth draw is as vital as the throw for speed and surprise. Okay, it leaves the hand. What path does it take? Trajectory, right?
Trajectory, yeah. Simply the path it takes through the air. And Campbell explains it's shaped by a few things. The shuriken's design itself, your throwing style, and the forces you put on it when you throw.
So different throws make different paths.
Exactly. Different stances, grips, arm motions. They'll create different trajectories. Could be stable, direct, could spin, flip, maybe even curve a bit.
Does the source get specific?
It has illustrations of different types, but the key takeaway is that a skilled thrower knows how their actions create a specific path. It becomes intuitive.
And when it gets there, penetration. What makes it stick in?
Penetration. Campbell says it depends on a few interacting factors. The shuriken-style point shape matters, right?
Yeah, needle versus broad.
Exactly. Its sharpness, its weight, the speed it hits with velocity, and of course what the target is made of.
So those lightweight toy ones probably wouldn't pierce much.
Very unlikely. Campbell really stresses getting a true trajectory-stable flight, no wobble for the best penetration.
Why is that?
It focuses all the energy right onto the point. Stable flight transfers kinetic energy efficiently. Lighter ones might get pushed around by air, wobble, and lose impact power.
Makes sense.
And obviously, super sharp points and honed edges are crucial. Gotta cut through the surface.
How does the thrower boost penetration technique-wise?
Velocity is huge, generated by using your whole body, legs, torso rotation, arm, wrist snap. A coordinated sequence.
Full body motion.
Right. Campbell also says the trajectory type matters. A direct, stable flight usually penetrates better than one that's tumbling end over end.
Okay.
And interestingly, he mentions that too much power at really close range could sometimes make it go right through a soft target without doing as much damage as a slightly slower throw that transfers more energy inside.
Huh. A weird balance.
Yeah, it's surprisingly technical.
Okay, technical indeed. How did they aim these things? Sighting must have been key.
Sighting, yeah. Aligning it with the target. The source describes it as often becoming quite personal. People develop their own feel for it.
What works for them?
Exactly. But the basic idea is always setting up a line of sight. Your eye, the point the shuriken leaves your hand, and the target.
Like lining up a shot.
Pretty much. Campbell notes accuracy gets way better with consistent sighting and really understanding how your shuriken flies relative to where you're aiming. Developing that intuitive link.
Intuitive.
Yeah.
But built on tons of practice, I bet. Which brings us to accuracy. How accurate could a really skilled ninja be?
Campbell paints it as incredibly tough to get good at. Needs massive amounts of practice, perfect technique honed over years, and intense mental focus. Not something you pick up quickly.
What affects it? What makes you hit or miss?
The source lists a whole bunch of things. It's quite revealing. Your skill level, obviously, your feel for that specific shuriken.
They feel depth.
Oh yeah. Balance, weight, then distance, the grip you use, the trajectory you achieve, your stance stability, your concentration level, timing the release perfectly, wind, your physical shape at that moment, even, Campbell says, your emotional state.
Emotions. How can being angry or scared affect your throw?
It introduces tiny inconsistencies. Tension, fear, anxiety, even just being tired. It can mess up the fine motor control, the timing, the focus needed for accuracy.
So mental discipline is as important as physical.
Absolutely. You need that focus, that composure.
Which leads right into concentration.
Yeah.
Such a small thing, I imagine losing focus for a split second means a miss.
Totally essential. Campbell talks about needing intense focus, blocking out everything else, like developing tunnel vision on the target.
Being totally in the zone.
Exactly. Fully present. He even mentions visualizing the perfect throw beforehand. Mental rehearsal.
Like athletes do.
Same principle. Prime the mind and body for success.
Makes sense. Okay, we've talked a lot about the star-shaped ones. What about the spikes, the bow shuriken? Are they thrown differently? Different trajectories?
Yeah, their shape definitely changes things. Campbell briefly mentions two main ways to throw them.
Okay.
The direct method, trying to make it fly straight, point first, minimal spin. And the flip method, giving it a rotation, usually end over end, so it hopefully hits point first after a certain number of flips.
Requires judging the distance carefully for the flip method, I guess.
Exactly. Both need specific practice and understanding how that particular spike flies.
Different tools, different skills.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift to how they were used in practice. Fighting tactics. Were shuriken the main weapon?
This is where that weapon of stealth idea really clicks. Campbell says they were used offensively and defensively, but you always had to remember their limits.
Range. Power.
Both. Compared to a sword or spear, range is less, stopping power is less, so not usually your primary weapon for a stand-up fight.
More of a tactical gadget?
Precisely. Great for creating diversions, interrupting someone's attack, hitting a weak spot to create an opening.
For a follow-up.
Right, or to help you escape. Used against armed or unarmed opponents, often aimed at vulnerable spots, and the key was surprise. The kai, Campbell calls it, the element of surprise.
An unexpected shuriken could change everything.
Completely. Throws the opponent off balance mentally and physically.
Were they used alongside other tricks?
Oh, yeah. Campbell talks about using verbal stuff, intimidation, making diversions with smoke or feints, fakes, half commitments, full commitments.
Mind games.
Totally. The classic hit and run, drawing an opponent into a bad spot. Even ways to handle multiple opponents, try to isolate them, or use rapid throws to confuse.
And Campbell gives some actual do's and don'ts for combat.
He does. Practical stuff. DOs. Always watch your opponent, keep your footing sure, use peripheral vision, use the terrain.
Smart.
Avoid fancy, risky moves, don't stand still too long, don't react wildly, don't underestimate the other guy's reach or skill. It's all about survival and effectiveness.
Sounds like solid advice for any fight, really.
Yeah.
Now, if it does hit, where would they aim? The source breaks down target areas.
Yes, understanding anatomy was vital. Campbell puts targets in 3 groups. Non-lethal, aiming for pain, temporary disability, face, ears, arms, legs.
Ouch, but survivable.
Usually. Then semi-lethal, higher risk, needs medical help, temple, neck, groin area.
Getting serious.
Definitely. And finally, lethal areas, strikes to vital organs, major arteries, skull, eye, throat, heart, lungs.
So while maybe not intended as the primary kill weapon, it absolutely could be lethal.
Oh, for sure. A good hit to the right spot. Yeah. Campbell stresses the severity depends on force, depth, the Shuriken type.
Right.
He even includes a flow chart, shows the quick thinking, assess range tactics, pick stance, target high, middle, low, choose trajectory, grip, throw. It happens fast.
Wow, that's complex decision-making in an instant. Incredible.
Yeah.
Going back to stealth, how did they carry these things without giving the game away?
Concealment again. Absolutely key for surprise. Campbell lists different ways. Inside clothing folds, special pockets.
Hidden pouches.
Yeah. Purpose-made leather pouches for quick, quiet access. Or even disguised as everyday stuff to avoid suspicion.
Like what?
He doesn't detail specific disguises, but the implication is making them look like something harmless until needed. The goal, totally hidden, but instantly ready.
Masters of deception. Now, I have to ask, these are weapons. What about owning them today, legally? The source mentions that.
It does. An important warning, really. Campbell points out that in many places, just possessing shuriken, especially concealed, is illegal.
Classified as deadly weapons.
Often, yes,
Yeah.
with potentially serious penalties. So their cool history doesn't change their legal status now, something to be very aware of.
Definitely good to know. Okay, what about hitting a moving target? That sounds way harder.
Oh, yeah. Huge step up in difficulty. Needs serious skill and anticipation.
What do you have to account for?
Campbell lists critical factors. Target's movement, direction, speed, changing speed. Are they coming at you, moving away, sideways?
A luck to track.
Plus, the shuriken slows down as it flies, so you often have to aim ahead of where the target is, lead them, like in shooting.
Gotcha.
Even the target's surface texture matters. Will it stick or bounce off? And he briefly notes that Spike versus Star Shuriken might need slightly different leads for moving targets.
So, predicting the future, basically. Incredible timing needed. What about throwing lots of them quickly? Rapid fire, is that a real thing?
Yes, rapid fire was a technique. But Campbell says it usually needs special grips and throws, optimized for speed.
Trade-offs.
Often, yeah. Maybe slightly less accuracy or power per throw just to get more projectiles out fast.
Yeah.
And you need to hold several shuriken ready for quick access, minimal hand movement.
Like dealing cards, almost.
Sort of, yeah. Quick sequence.
And I've seen it in movies. Throwing 2 or 3 at once. Or in a quick burst.
Campbell covers that too. Multiple shuriken throwing. Could be throwing 2 or more tightly grouped at one target.
Increase hit probability.
Or impact, yeah. Or maybe targeting multiple opponents really fast to overwhelm them. The spread depends on the design, grip, power. It's an advanced skill. Needs amazing coordination.
Man, this sounds like it takes lifetimes to master. Were there ways to practice?
Drills.
Competitions?
Campbell mentions target competition as a good way to build skills.
How did that work?
Different formats, scoring points for hitting zones on a target, different distances, maybe timed throws, even blindfolded throwing to develop feel.
Blindfolded.
Yeah. And imitation drills, copying an instructor's technique, all designed to hone accuracy, speed, consistency, proficiency.
A real martial discipline in itself. Okay, before we wrap up this amazing deep dive, did Campbell touch on modern stuff, new designs, continued interest?
Briefly, yeah. He mentions some modern innovations, like maybe collapsible or folding shuriken for easier concealment.
Pocket stars?
Sort of, and he notes there's still a lot of interest in them as historical items, symbols, but also as training tools in some modern martial arts that use throwing weapons.
So the fascination continues.
It does. Their combat role changed, obviously, but the legacy, the skill involved, it still captures the imagination.
Well, this has been absolutely eye-opening, a real deep dive into ninja shuriken. It's so clear. They're much, much more than just simple throwing stars.
Yeah, the history is deep, the variety is surprising, the techniques intricate, and the level of skill needed immense.
Definitely.
And maybe think about this as we finish up. Those core principles, right? The intense focus, the dedication to technique, really knowing your tools, your environment.
The things needed to master the shuriken.
Exactly. How might those same principles apply in other areas of life? Your own skills, your own tools. Maybe contemplating the discipline behind this ancient art offers some, I don't know, unexpected perspective.
That's a great final thought. Really makes you consider the dedication involved. If this deep dive intrigued you, definitely look deeper into ninjutsu history, or maybe martial arts with throwing weapons. There's clearly a lot more beneath the surface.